Hey everyone, this is Austin from Hinge. I'm here with Hinge's managing partner, Carl Feldman. How you doing, Carl?
Doing great. How are you?
Excellent. Hey, you just authored a new blog post called Seven B2B Website Design Trends for Professional Services Firms. And I was hoping we could do a little video here, Carl, and just go through those seven trends and hear what you selected and why. How does that sound?
Sounds great. I could talk about it all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess first, before we get into the trends, why write this article now? Like, where are we in terms of like B2B websites, professional services websites? Like, what has changed specifically at this time, going into 2026, that people need to know about?
I'd say the biggest thing is the landscape changing around us, what more integrated marketing looks like, research, what that looks like. I would say simply the fastest growing, most profitable professional services are paying a lot of attention to their website, but not in the way that they used to. It's not a brochure, it's not just content. It is an active tool that should be riding along 24/7. So that's kind of the crux of the post and what it actually means for professional services, which is different than B2C and even a lot of B2B. There are some unique concepts.
Carl, let's start with trend number one. You said it's showcase your expertise, don't just claim it. What do you mean by that?
Well, if you think of the website as a two-way street and a chance for audiences to get to know your team, get to know your experts, get to know the solutions that you offer, it is creating that engagement that's most important. Understanding if you think of the website as standing in between you and your audience, that's an accurate representation. And it shouldn't just be a wall with some pretty pictures and text on there. You should actually be able to interact with it and get a sense for how your team works and your culture.
Trend number two, I think, is along the same lines here, but comes from a different perspective. You said design for the long sale. Now, I know this, you mentioned the differences between a B2C website and many other websites people are out there designing. For B2B professional services, our businesses work totally different, right? And a lot for a while, and especially it's still today in some industries, I hear people say, a website has no place in our sales cycle. It's just unnecessary. If it does have a role, it's just for validation. We're not going to sell anything on our website. How do you respond to that? And why did you frame it this way as in terms of designing for a long sale?
Well, there's a nugget of truth in there, and that professional services audiences, if there's one thing they're allergic to, it's sales. So it should not be positioned as sales, but getting to know your potential advisor, getting to understand how a potential partner works beyond validation, being exposed to things you didn't know about that team, understanding culture, how they work. That's important, and that takes time. I will say, I think in the last 3 to 5 years, that time from consideration to I'm ready to talk to someone, it's dramatically decreased. And a better job that we collectively do connecting the dots for audiences, for validation, for understanding, for engaging, for having the right connection points, that all helps that process. But it's not a, you know, impulse buy. It's not a widget that you're buying. You're building trust, you're building understanding. So that's what I mean by designing for that long sale, the
Mhm.
long path to a constructive and high value conversation. That's what the website is there to stand in for your teams.
All right, trend number three is video that tells a story. I think that if you were to talk to any marketer going into 2026 right now, video is kind of at the top of everybody's minds. We're all thinking about how can we take our video strategies to the next level. What role does video play on a professional services website today?
Take our last nugget that we were just talking about, engaging with your audience, getting to know them. What better way than through video, through direct interaction, right? If it's done right, it feels like a conversation. It feels like a response to the question that you're looking to get answered. So that means high production value in the right way, that you're speaking to your audience in a way that they're going to receive. and then you're standing out with that too. I mean, if you looked around LinkedIn right now, littered with talking heads and kind of TikTok style ads, and that's a great hook, but the ones that really take off have something unique to say. It's either eye-catching, it's insightful, there's a little piece that takes it further. So I think video has a lot of potential, and it also helps to cut through a lot of the fuzz that's out there in content, a lot of undifferentiated slop out there.
All right. This might be my favorite one. Trend number 4, integrating your online and your offline worlds. Here you talked specifically about event-specific landing pages, promoting subject matter experts and speakers, and just generally like firm leadership and the people that work at your company. And then also being able to measure engagement. So there's a lot going on here that you wrote about in terms of integrating online and offline worlds. Tell us about this trend and why it made the list.
My gosh, I'm super excited about this one. And we've been talking about it for probably close to a decade, but it's gone from bleeding edge to more and more teams are understanding this concept. And if you think about it, how great would it be to be a fly on the wall while your team is in an expensive event that they might be speaking at, they've got a table to monitor, and you can actually measure the engagement on the ground and track all the way through how much impact that's having the bottom line. The website helps with that. Imagine that you've got a massive project that you're in business development, chasing that pursuit on. You've got interview teams, and you can see where the teams are interacting with that validation content. What are they interested in? What might be being holes poked in things that you need to address? What are the challenges? You get intelligence through the interaction if the website is set up for that. Mm-hmm. You can literally see the activity on the ground in the interview and extend that understanding of these integrated campaigns.
Carl, I also think about what you were talking about with like the business development and the sales side of things as well. One thing that I've seen in a lot of the user behavior data on our clients' websites is just how popular different expert profiles are, even as landing pages, right? It's those people, the movers, the shakers, the ones that are out at events, the ones that are meeting people, the ones that are handing out business cards. People are going and searching for those individuals by name. And it's that connection between kind of that offline, like meeting someone at an event and not necessarily going and searching the name of their company, but going and finding the name of that person, maybe even finding them on LinkedIn. But I'm seeing more and more that as landing pages and as like popular pages on professional services websites, people are going to those people profiles just because that's, how they made a real connection offline, and now online they're backing that up in their experience.
And speaking of connections, think of the website as the great connector. You're connecting experts to relevant work experience, to events, to real world and online activities. And by the way, you get metrics on all of that. You can see how they all tie together. That's the power.
So, okay, trend number 5. We've talked about a number of different trends. We haven't talked as much about design. I mean, we mentioned video a little bit, but here's where we you save it till trend number 5 to talk about kind of the brand design. You said use a bold design to differentiate and not to imitate. Okay, what do you mean by that? Why is that a trend going into 2026?
Well, start with what I don't mean. I don't mean just a flashy homepage and a cool video that everybody is proud about and has like inspiring music. Not that. I'm talking about differentiating the experience. How does the website look 10 layers in when you came in, through a careers page, or, you came in and you're looking to understand how a specific market is addressed. You know us, right? Does your team know us in our industry? What does that experience look like, and how is it different from your competitors? Those are the places to be bold, not in just visual and content design, but also user experience design. How is that process better than your competitors, and how do you stand out when you've got, I don't even want to say how many tabs I have open. You have 50 tabs open and all of the competitors look exactly the same. How can you stand out from that pack?
one of your answers to that in the blog post is authentic photography. So I'm wondering, Carl, like at what phase in a website design process does a team start to think about photography and like capturing new photography for their team, office? Like, what does that look like? Where does that fall in the process? How much do you see companies usually investing in that?
Well, I think it's a sticky subject because there's usually multiple internal investments that need to be made or understanding. But I'll say from our process, that's one of the first things we're looking at in terms of understanding what does the landscape look like internally, externally, competitively, what's the bar to stand out, just an objective assessment of what do we have and what might we need. And by the way, I'm not here to say like every image needs to be perfect and, unique and bespoke photography of your teams and all. Absolutely, you can be efficient with that and work with stock, work with other images you may already have in creative ways. Understanding the landscape and what's needed to differentiate helps to establish what's a priority, what's feasible in a near term, where's the target of where we're going down the road.
Well, I know one part of the website where authentic photography will make a really big impact is on the careers section of the website, which for years, we've seen this and reviewed hundreds, thousands of professional services websites. We've seen it all, the most normal circumstances that a company has a careers page, you click on that, and then there's like a link where it'll maybe direct to a portal with some open job listings. Maybe there's a paragraph on company culture, but it's traditionally been pretty basic. The trend though, Carl, is you say number 6, treating recruiting like business development. So talk about what's changed and what's different now, and how is this section of the website really evolved recently?
Well, I'll start with the fundamentals that, in professional services, if we do a great job in business development for work, the next and parallel need is teams to deliver that work, excellent teams. Now, the good news is, and we've tracked this, 10 years plus in our buying behavior data, a lot of the things that professional services buyers are looking for also share space with those things that teams looking to deliver. So potential recruits, what they're looking for. So building visibility for experts. The experts that you're hiring want that. The teams that are hiring those experts want that. Are you relating that engagement on both sides of that? Thinking about, all the things that you got me going on earlier about, what can you see with direct engagements offline, in person? Apply the same thing to like a job fair or different events where you may be recruiting, looking for talent, that mid-level talent that everybody's fighting over. It's the same process. If you apply that same focus that you do in generating new business or expanding accounts to recruiting and a systematic effort across the board, you have some real power. The challenge is more of an internal alignment and culture and having that mindset that this is just like any other professional services audience. And we need to understand what they're looking for and craft the experience for them.
Carl, our last trend number 7, was get personal with location and AI. Tell us, AI had to be thrown in here at some point, right? So saving the best for last. Talk to us about personalization, what you meant by that section in that trend.
I would save this one for last because it applies to everything that we just talked about. And it's a fast evolving and fast moving area. So with location and AI, I say that some low hanging fruit that we've been uncovering with our research and analytics is region specific relevancy, is being able to speak to an audience where they are, give them what they're looking for, and use the power of AI for that, and also give the training data. Right now, it's just the terminology changes, right? The AI bolting onto search engines, or search engines bolting on AI, whichever the direction is, it's a more sophisticated way of the systems understanding what's actually relevant to audience. So having that kind of customization to a regional perspective sometimes really helps bring in that last layer of okay, this is a team that's where I need them to be. They have experience, not only in the domain, expertise, but also right in my backyard. So I think that's an area that professional services, we've been stuck more in the brochure. Here's our locations, here's all these things, than actually incorporating that into the experience, or whether it's giving it to the humans or the machines, we're making that easy to make that connection as well. Now, that's the next post, to go into all the layers that AI can add into these things, or where it's most practically useful in a website design, development, deployment process, what we've been experiencing. But I can tell you it's pervasive, and it's, looking at where does it add the most value and not take away from differentiation, not take away from quality, not fall into some of the, just the norms out there, which it's built to do. It can be a powerful tool if you know what you're dealing with and you're using it in the right way. I think we're getting closer and closer every week to understanding the real game-changing practical applications. It's just weaving itself in. That may not get as much hype as some of the big buzzwords, but I think it's normalizing into practical applications now.
Well, Carl, great stuff as always. To read Carl's post and to find more resources on professional services website design, B2B website design, visit our website, hingemarketing.com. We've got loads of resources there. We'll link to everything in the description. Carl, thanks for the great video. We'll see you on the next one.